Hey there, ladies. So I am going to try something different. I had been sending out a number of emails. We were doing mass emails with words of inspiration and things like that that we talked about in our last in-service. And turned out that many of you weren't even getting them, which explains why I wasn't getting responses. So I thought it might be easier just to record videos like this, and then I'll put them on YouTube. I'll text you the link through Tendio, and you'll have them, and you can watch them. Most of them are too crazy. So the way that the format will work is I'll start with announcements. So we'll have our announcements at the beginning, and then I'll have some words of encouragement. And you don't have to listen to the last part if you don't want to. If you feel like it's too much of a sermon or too preachy, then just please do listen to the announcement. We're going to be having an in-service coming up very quickly, maybe next week or the week after, and this will be on a change management initiative that we are doing, and it includes everybody. We want to involve all of us, and it's called appreciative inquiry. So appreciative inquiry, you build upon the positive versus what we usually tend to do and look at what the problems are and try to fix them. But psychologically speaking, whatever we focus on, we tend to exacerbate, right? We make it worse. So we want to focus on the things that are going well. We want to focus on all of our strengths. And this is a process of asking the right positive, open-ended questions of everybody so that we all can have ideas, spark creativity, and really continue to grow as an organization. And if you'll recall, my idea is that we all grow together, whether that's in terms of pay, in terms of the size of the company, and in terms of opportunities. Another thing I would love if you can shoot me an email at bsimmons@caringinc.com. This was a topic of one of the emails that I recently sent, and that was on the topics that you would like to learn in terms of leadership development and growth and entrepreneurial education. So we had talked about having classes and courses for that, for those of you who want to someday own your own business, whether you want to buy it or want to start it, or whatever the case may be. So let me know the topics that you would be interested in learning more about, and I will make sure that they happen. So I think for now this is the end of the announcement section, and I'm just going to go into a little snippet about Easter. So today's Saturday, Holy Saturday on the liturgical calendar. Tomorrow is Easter. Yesterday was Good Friday, and we all know what we're celebrating in that. And I certainly don't want to be overly religious or offend anybody who has different faith backgrounds or whatever the case may be. So I'll try to keep it as generic, but yet again motivational and encouraging as possible. So we're celebrating resurrection, and we know that before we can get to resurrection, we have to get to death. So you've got the idea of Jesus in the tomb for 3 days, the resurrection on the third day. There's another story in the New Testament of somebody who is in the tomb, and that's Lazarus. And I often think about this, especially from back when I was a pastor. I wonder if, while Lazarus was laying there in the tomb, what he might have experienced during those times, and feeling the cold and the dampness of the tomb, the darkness around him, and was probably quite peaceful up until the point where Jesus called him out, where he says, "Lazarus, get up and come out." And I wonder if Lazarus was annoyed because he was experiencing such deep peace in that sleep or death or whatever state he was in. But then Jesus calls him out, and Lazarus becomes aware of the fact that he's there in his funeral bindings, there inside of the tomb. In Easter, when I would preach Easter, I would always preach that it's about much more than one single individual person's resurrection, that it's about our own individual resurrections on a daily basis. And each one gets us a little bit closer to our best and truest self. And I wonder what that might look like for all of us, both our corporate best and truest self in the company, but also our individual best and truest selves as we become aware of our interconnectedness with one another. You know, we provide great care for the people that we are working for, and we want to do that because, you know, if we decide, oh, you know what, I've got a better offer, I'm not even going to show up for work today, you know, we leave somebody laying there in their feces or their urine or unattended to. Who knows if they might have fallen when we didn't show up or whatever the case may be. So our showing up, our being there, our providing the best care possible is super important, even for people that we meet on the street or while we're driving or different things like that. And I can certainly be the biggest hypocrite when it comes to driving. Don't ask anybody, because sometimes I just suck and I get mad and whatever. But you know, we want to strive to be our best and truest selves and look at those difficult times, those times when we feel like we're suffering, when we feel like it's kind of hard to see the light. Maybe instead of time in the tomb, we think of it as time in the womb. Right? Think about that. Perhaps in those moments of solitude that are uncomfortable, perhaps sitting there in the darkness, we are experiencing a growth that we're not even aware of, because we are all ultimately mothering, right? We're mothering. In other words, we are here to birth something into existence, whether it's a human life or whether it's something to make this world a better place, to, in essence, create a piece of heaven here on earth. And so our words and our actions matter and create heaven or hell right here. But as we continue to embrace solitude, continue to embrace the things that seem uncomfortable, maybe those icky feelings, and we decide to lean into them and lean through them instead of running from them like we typically end up doing, then perhaps we'll come through to something much more beautiful, something greater than we could have conceived, and perhaps we'll find ourselves there living and existing as our best and truest self, and not only doing but experiencing the essence of being. Right? We get caught up in the doing all the time, but tend to lose focus on the being. So, as we celebrate Easter, as we celebrate resurrection, I invite you to embrace and celebrate your own individual and personal resurrection. Each one, each day, because we have this, as Mary Oliver says, this one sacred, wild, and precious life. And the biggest question for us is, what will we choose to do with it? Thank you for working with us. Thank you for partnering with us. And together, let's experience our resurrections and become better as human beings, as a company, and let's experience those victories as we continue to grow and create opportunities for our clients, for their families, and for one another. Thanks.